Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of the Mastery Unleashed podcast. I am Christie Ruffino, and we have a guest Russ Ruffino on the show today. I'm excited to have you guys all meet him, and not only you learn from him, but I'm going to learn from him as well today. So, welcome, Russ. It's great to have you
How's it
on the
going?
show.
Nice to see you, Christy.
Yeah. So it's funny because, and I didn't even mention the story to you. I was on your webinar a couple weeks ago, and then we connected, and you're like, "Oh, are we related in some way?" And I'm like, "No, it's the married name that I got
Yeah.
divorced, and I didn't change it. I didn't want my kids to go through that having different names." But what's funny is last year. I put you on my Dream 100 list. I'm not big into celebrities, and I was asked, who do I want to connect with? And I couldn't think of anybody, but then you came to mind because I thought people ask me all of the time, am I related to you? And I say no. So I just thought it would be fun
Just
to
say
have,
yes. Just start
yeah,
saying
I
yes.
should say
It's
that.
just
Yeah.
easy. Just be
Well, no,
like,
we're
yeah, sure.
BFFs now.
Yeah.
And so I asked you to be on and you said yes, and that here we are. And the first question I always like to start with is, how did you get into this high ticket creation space where this is what you believe, what I believe, but it's not common to start with a high ticket offer. So how did this all come together?
Well, I didn't start with high ticket. I was a bartender and I was living in LA and my dream was to be an actor basically. So I went to a high school for performing arts. I went to UCLA School of Theater. The whole time I was at UCLA, I was studying with like top studios in the city and everything. And when you're acting in LA, you're bartending or waiting tables or I don't know, giving massages or personal
Whatever.
training or whatever, right? And hey, 10 years went by and I gave it a good shot. And on my 30th birthday, I was sitting in the lobby bar of the Palazzo Hotel with my girlfriend at the time, now my wife. And I was like crying into my bourbon because I was like, my life sucks. I'm not going to be a 40-year-old bartender. And right around that time, two kind of interesting things happened. I was on break at the bar and I happened to wander over to Barnes and Noble and sitting there right in the front of the store was the 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss.
Yep.
And that was kind of my first introduction to online entrepreneurship. I had no idea that this even existed. Back then, my whole paradigm of life was like either you're a famous actor or rock star or athlete or something like that, or you're, working some job 40
Yep.
hours a
Yep.
week. Like the
Yep.
thought of actually starting an online business, it didn't even occur to me. It didn't even, exist in my field.
Yeah.
So I read the book and I was like, oh my God, maybe this is actually something. And then right around the same time, I was the lead singer of an 80s cover band. And my guitarist's younger brother came in and was just sitting at the bar talking all this smack, going like, hey, what recession, baby? I made $1,200 today. I made $800 today. And I
Wow.
was like, look, I don't know what this kid is doing, but whatever he's doing, I'm going to find out what the hell it is and I'm going to learn how to do it. And as it turned out, and he was really generous with me, man. He showed me the ropes, but basically what he was doing was affiliate marketing and
Okay.
promoting different products online. And Tim talks about that a little bit in the 4 Hour Work Week. So I said, okay,
Yep.
well, if he can do it, maybe I can do it too. And the craziest thing, Christy, was I could just do it. Like I had never had any marketing experience. I'd never sat down to write sales copy, but when I did, it just
Okay.
flowed.
Okay.
And so what I tell people is it's like, let's say you had some amazing gift for chess, but nobody ever put a chessboard in front of you until you were like 30,
Right.
right? And all of a sudden you're just like, oh, I get this, just
Yeah.
makes sense. I can do this.
Yep.
So that's what it was like. So
Okay.
anyway, long story short, I started doing some affiliate marketing, started creating some of my own low ticket products, quit my bartending job. In my
Okay.
first year online, I think I made $250,000.
Wow. That's
So
an incredible startup story.
it just changed my life. And it
Yeah.
was, again, it wasn't anything anybody expected. And it felt to me like I just kind of felt like I fell ass backwards into it. But so I spent the next 2 years doing low ticket stuff, and we would do these big low ticket launches. I would sell something for $27 or $47
Yeah.
or whatever. And we would do a launch. We would sell thousands of copies of it. And the reviews were good and the clients were happy.
Mhm.
Where the problem came up, Christy, was when I started reaching out to those people to see, hey, are you doing anything with this
Yep.
information? Are you putting this into practice? Did you, whatever? And the answer would like almost always be the same. No, I bought 5 other courses. I bought a course from this guy and this guy. I got to go through those first, and then I'm going to get around to yours and whatever. And I started to realize like all right, I'm putting my heart and soul into creating what I think is the best information I could possibly put out there. I know
Yeah.
it's good. I know if someone follows it, they'll get the result, but nobody's following it.
Mm,
And maybe that shouldn't have bothered me, but it started to bother me. And I said, all right, well, look, what if I flip this whole model on its head?
mm,
What if instead of charging $47 for something and trying to sell thousands of copies of it, I charged 5 or 8 or 10K for it and just worked with a handful of people? What would happen then?
yeah.
And what I thought was that these people would show up coachable, they would actually do the work. I could work with fewer people, I could make more money, and I could really, really go and get them an amazing result. And so
Yeah.
that was kind of like my hypothesis.
Yeah.
Time, everybody thought that was nuts. The conventional wisdom at the time was that you couldn't even drive Facebook traffic into a webinar. Like, why would you get people? Why would someone click your Facebook ad and sign up to watch a 2 hour webinar? That's never going to work. Or,
Mhm.
you have to have some sort of value ladder or tripwire. You got to sell them something for $7
Right.
and
The
then
whole
like work your
ascension
way up.
model, right?
The
Yeah.
whole ascension model, right? And
Mhm.
I said, look, maybe that's true. Maybe you can't, but I'm sure as hell going to try because if I can make this work, it'd be a game changer. And gave it a shot. 3 months went by. I made zero because I realized I didn't know how to do high ticket at all. And then
Okay.
cracked the code on it. And I believe it was December of 2013. I had my first $200,000 month.
Wow.
And everything that I thought was going to happen is what happened. People did show up coachable. They
Yep.
did do the work. They were
Yep.
awesome people. And so, now it's 2025 and never looked back. We've done over $100 million in high ticket coaching sales. We've worked with over 6,000 coaches and experts to help them, launch and scale their business. And it's just been an amazing ride and a very, very like rewarding journey.
Well, what's rewarding is now you are creating your own success stories with your clients because that's what we want. That's why we get into this. But unfortunately, the industry teaches you the ascension model to start with creating your course and do all these things. And it's exhausting. It's exhausting.
Mhm.
It's a lot of work. You're constantly, trying to get clients. You're never making enough money. And more importantly, your people aren't actually consuming what you create. And so you're not accomplishing your goal.
Exactly. It's like, and
Yeah.
then it's like, what's the point? And, I also think that the ascension model has a tendency to repel the very best, most committed clients, right? So the example I always use is that, if you're having marriage problems and you really want to save your marriage, you know damn well that that $7 ebook is not going to fix the problem, right? But
Correct.
if I come to you and
Correct.
I say, hey, I've got a $10,000 8-week coaching program that's going to completely transform your marriage if you're willing to dive in with both feet and do the work,
Uh-huh.
now I have to take you seriously because I
Yeah.
understand that this is transformation. It's not information.
Correct.
And, it's so funny because so much of everything, the tactics, the marketing, the messaging, all the stuff that's like just par for the course when you're selling a low ticket offer, it's like the opposite is true when
Yeah.
you're doing high ticket. It's a complete shift, complete reversal.
Yeah. You don't do all that salesy stuff. And even more so now with AI being everywhere, we can get information free just by
Yeah,
picking up our cell phone, right? So we don't need to create more information for people. We need to provide them results. Transformation is what they're looking to pay for.
exactly. Information is just going to get more and more ubiquitous. It's going to be
Yeah,
everywhere.
it is.
But transformation is going to just become more and more rare.
Yes.
If you really think about it, for everybody listening, it's like, how many people do you know that really changed their life, right? Where their life was going in one direction and they completely turned it around, or their marriage, they were on the verge of divorce and they turned it around, or their business was falling apart and they turned it around. It's so rare. And
Correct.
most of the time, when that happens, it's because they invested in some kind of transformational mentoring that could really get them the result.
Yeah.
So that's why people ask me all the time, Russell, what do you think AI is going to do to the coaching industry? And I'm like, it's going to make it 10 times better
Yeah.
because people are always going to need leadership and accountability, especially now.
Yeah, for sure. So you mentioned earlier that you cracked the code.
Hmm.
And so can you share a little bit about that?
It sounds so markety, right?
I've got my pen
Well,
ready.
I thought, what the hell, man? What would be so Elon Musk, and this is way before Elon Musk, but Elon Musk's whole model is, he said something at one time that I thought was just brilliant. He said the biggest mistake you can make in business is optimizing something that shouldn't exist. So
Okay.
it's like you've got this, let's say you have this ascension model where you're selling
Right.
somebody something for $7 and then $27 or whatever. You could spend a decade just dialing in this little offer and dialing in that little
Yeah.
offer and what kind of headline do we want on the page and what color do
Yeah.
we want the page to
Split
be and all this other
testing and
nonsense.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so you're spending all this energy optimizing something when really you don't need to do that at all.
Right.
So for me, it was about finding the leanest, shortest, fastest possible way to take people from browsing around on Facebook or social media and having them enroll as a high ticket client in the shortest possible amount of time. And so the fastest way that I've ever found to do that, and by the way, this has not changed
Okay.
in 12 years,
Okay.
is you send people from an ad to a master class or a webinar.
Mhm.
You invite them to book a call, you get on the call with them, and you enroll them into your high ticket offer.
So
That's it.
simple.
Yeah, that's
It's
it.
so
Now,
simple.
I mean, the devil's in the details. You have to
Yes, of
execute
course.
every piece of that correctly. And especially when it comes to the ads, the way that you have to do the ads is always changing as Meta just updates their
Yeah.
algorithm and makes changes or whatever. So, but that's as simple as I think it can possibly be, is
Hmm.
just to get someone clicking on an ad, watching some kind of event or webinar,
Yep.
masterclass, whatever it is,
Yep.
and then talking to you about working together. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of what we do. I haven't dove into ads yet. We just do our email list and JV partner lists, but we drive people to a workshop, right? That
Hmm.
indoctrination event where we can teach them, they can get to know us, that relationship starts, and then the next step is a call. So it doesn't need to be more complicated than that.
Exactly. Yeah. So you keep it really simple. And if you can have marketing that's powerful enough that somebody could be browsing around online and see your ad and have no idea who the hell you are,
Right.
but they click the ad, they watch a presentation, and then they're on the phone with you the next day enrolling at 5 or 8 or 10,000, and you can write your own ticket at that point. I mean, you've got
Yeah.
what you need.
Yeah. And so one of the shifts that is there with high ticket, which I still struggle with, is getting away from that salesy, markety, pitch and pursue mentality because it's more screen and qualify. Like we don't bring in people unless we know they're the right fit. So it's a completely different mindset. We're not chasing people down. And that's what's great about high ticket. If you're not comfortable in the like the selling piece of it, you don't have to be salesy with high ticket. It's just more
It's
about
better
inviting the
if
right,
you're,
yeah.
yeah, it's better if you're not.
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
if you think about any mentor character in literature,
Mm.
they're always kind of a jerk in the beginning, right? Like you think
Right.
about the Karate Kid, he goes to work with Mr. Miyagi and Mr. Miyagi's like, "Hey, wax my car, paint my fence, sand my floor, like do all that." And I'm not even going to talk about teaching you karate until you do that. Luke Skywalker goes to see Yoda and Yoda's like, "Too old, he's too old to begin the training." And like it's just like he doesn't want to work with him. Um, and that is just a characteristic of a true mentor, is that you
Mhm.
have to convince them that
Right.
you are worthy of learning what it is that they have to teach, that you're going to take this knowledge that the mentor has paid for with blood and sweat and tears, and he's going to pass that on to you, and you're going to go and you're going to do good things with it. So
Yeah.
yeah, you're absolutely right that, and then our obligation as coaches who have the golden goose is to make sure that we don't work with anybody
Great
that we know,
that we
unless we
know.
know we can help them.
Yep. If we can't crush it with them, then no, let's find them somebody else that's a better fit.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's tough
It
because
is.
sometimes you're in a position where you're like, you're just getting your business off the ground and you really need
Yeah.
the money and you're talking to someone and this person's ready to go with their credit card in their hand, but
No.
you got that little feeling in the back of your neck that's like,
Yep.
oh, I don't really know if I can help this guy. And in those situations, you need to be able to tell that person no. You just need to be able to do it.
Yeah, because that can be your downfall, right? If you bring people into your program that are not a good fit, they could bring the energy down from of everybody else and then just create this toxic situation. And so
Yeah,
you
because
have to turn people away if it's
people
not.
don't, yeah, one thing I've noticed over the years, and you look, and look, you're never going to do this perfectly. So occasionally, you will have somebody who, um, in the words of Jesus, puts their hand to the plow and then looks back. You know what I mean? Like who
Right.
who comes in with all the enthusiasm and then it's so far outside their comfort zone or they get
Yeah.
scared and they find a way to sabotage. The problem
Yeah.
though, Christy, is that People tend not to want to fail alone. Like if someone comes in the program
Good point.
and they
Yeah.
get scared and they don't want to do the work, it's a rare person that can really look themselves in the mirror and say, hey, you know what? I'm failing and I'm choosing to
Yeah.
fail. Cool. They don't do that. They create a story. They say, oh, Christie's program sucks, or
Yeah.
she said this thing the other day, or, she's so blonde.
Oh
And they
no.
tend to go and recruit other people into that
Yes.
story, and they end up
Yeah.
dragging other people down with them. So you definitely have to watch out for that because they will not fail alone. They will take some other clients down with them.
Yeah, and I've seen that over and over again, but I didn't look at it from that perspective, right? I didn't look at it that they don't want to do it alone. I just feel that they just want to create chaos in other people's lives. So
Yeah, it's
interesting
because it's because if I
perspective.
can get a couple other people bought into this
Oh yeah,
story
then it's not
that you're
me, it's her.
and it's not, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So let me ask you a question. So one of the things so my business partner is Tom Matson. I think at one point you guys were in a mastermind together. I don't know exactly what happened, but we have a risk reverse guarantee, like where clients get to certain milestones, they continue to pay. I know that's not what you do, but what are your thoughts on that type of a guarantee? Or maybe it is what you do. I don't know.
No, we don't. So here's what we found with guarantees. We've tested them in the past,
Okay.
and what we found is that they didn't meaningfully increase sales, number
Okay.
one. So what's the point? And number two, what happened was we tended to attract people who wanted to dip their toes in the
Ah,
water.
they weren't committed. They weren't all in.
Right. So
Yeah.
anytime you're talking about a program that's transformational, and I don't care whether you're saving someone's marriage or it's a parenting program, my client, Dr. Becky, helps dyslexic kids learn to read. Like you're gonna have to make the commitment to work with your kid and help them, help
Yeah.
them succeed. And if there is a guarantee, if there is a way out, then what happens is when they get to that part of the program where it starts to get a little difficult, some of the people will just be like, it's too hard. And so what
Yeah.
we found is that at the end of the day, it just doesn't really serve the client
Okay.
because we want people to be all in. And we want, it's like if it's a really transformational program, it's going to be a little bit of a crucible. It's going to be, hey, we're
Yeah.
going to push you outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
We're going to hold your hand. We're going to be with you every step of the way, but you're going to have to do some stuff that you've never done before.
Okay.
And having the guarantee, I think, just makes it too easy for people to sort of like just change their mind and back out, not because they're not happy with the program, but because they're afraid. And that's what I don't want, because then that doesn't help anybody.
Well, fear is going to happen at some point on their journey, no matter what, no matter who they are, because they're going to a place that they weren't before,
Right.
right?
Right.
So I totally get that. I totally get that. Huh. Okay. So that's good to hear your perspective on that. What other words of wisdom? I know you've got a great resource we're going to share in a moment, but what other words of wisdom do you want to kind of share with our audience around high ticket programs?
So, like I said before, one of the things that we could talk about is that it is interesting how the difference between low ticket and high ticket is extreme. So, like one of the things, for example, that you would do if you're selling a low ticket on like a webinar, and even when I'm saying low ticket, I'm like you would do this up until the point of like $2,000, let's say, right?
Yep. Yep.
But everyone does bonuses,
Yeah.
right? You're going to get this and you're going to get this bonus and you're going to get that bonus.
Bonus
But
stack,
like,
right?
yeah, but like with a high ticket offer, it like hurts your credibility. It's like, hey, Christy, guess what? I'm going to save your marriage. And if you act now, you're going to get this free toaster too.
Well, that's the
It's
whole
like,
pitch and pursue. Like that's the whole
right.
thing. It's yeah.
Yeah, so there's so many things. And then having the risk reversal, right? For a low ticket offer, you don't need people to actually make the commitment to change. You
Right.
just need people to be committed enough to spend the
Let's spend the money.
$27 on
Yep.
your ebook, right? And so in
Exactly.
that case, it's like, yeah, give them a risk reversal. They buy the ebook. They don't like the ebook. I'll give you your money back, right? But again, with a high ticket offer, we're going to actually ask you to do something. We're going to actually ask you to take action. And that guarantee just offers too easy of a way out so that you could back out. And then guess what? Now you don't save your marriage. Now you don't save your business. Now you don't lose that 40 pounds or whatever the program is about.
Mhm.
So it's just funny that, I had to completely unlearn everything that I learned about marketing when you're talking about switching over to high ticket. So
Yeah.
so many people will, go and they'll buy books or they'll go through courses and to learn about marketing or to learn about copywriting. but they never really take into account, is this guy teaching this specifically from the perspective of selling high ticket transformational offers, or
Right.
is this about selling information? Because it's two totally different sets of
Totally
rules,
different
like
things. Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mentioned earlier too that I still just gravitate back into that markety piece, right? Because I've been doing it for so long, following the ascension model. And my mentor is always kind of saying, Christy, no, it's not, you're being pitchy. Like it's not what it's about. It's screen and qualify. You have to get a completely different mindset in what you're doing and pull away from those kind of markety tactics.
hmm And I mean, at the end of the day, it's also about being upfront with people about the cost. And I
Hmm.
don't mean the investment for your program. I mean the
Hmm.
cost.
The
I mean what
overall
they're going to
cost.
have
Yep.
to do, what they're going to have to, yeah. And this actually is a shift that is happening in, that has kind of happened over the years. Like I remember when I was a kid, there would be, these infomercials late at night for things like, like the Thigh Master or the Total
Of
Gym or
course.
the Bowflex or whatever. And it was always like, oh yeah, just 5 minutes a day and you'll be in the best shape
Yep.
of your life. Your
Yep.
grandma can do it or whatever,
Mhm.
right? And then I noticed over the years that like, the commercials started to shift to like they had that program Insanity where they're like, this is going to be the hardest goddamn thing you've ever done in your life. But if you follow this program, you'll get shredded. So I think that another thing that is super important is just really being upfront with people about what the program is going to take.
Right.
But
All that's involved.
like I was on a call with a guy one time and he was telling me, his business was really, really struggling. He was not profitable. He was losing, I want to say $5,000 or $8,000 a month. He was like $5,000 or $8,000 a month in the red. I asked
Yep.
him, what's your cash runway look like? And he's like, I got to turn this around within the next 4 to 5 months. And, and he was like, I really want you to help me. I said, okay, great. Got to the price. And, and then right when we were about to close the deal, he goes, well, wait a minute. How much time is this going to take every week? I was like, buddy, you just told me that you're 8 grand in the red every month, and we have 4 or 5 months maybe to turn this around. Like this
Yeah.
is your business. What could possibly be more important than that?
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's
Right.
like I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh yeah, man, you can do this in 5 minutes. Don't worry about it. Let's swipe that credit card. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
No.
so this is about you get the kind of business for the most part that you deserve. You get what you're putting out there. If you're putting out honesty and integrity and offering people a real solution to their problems and everything that you do and say is congruent with that, you're going to have massive success. But if you don't, you're going to feel like you're sabotaging yourself every step of the way. So the more honest you can be with your audience, the more, the better things actually work.
Right. Yeah. So question, what do you consider high ticket?
For me, high ticket would be anything probably above 5K.
Okay.
I've seen people on automated webinars even sell something for up to like, 3K, maybe a little higher, but most of the time
Mhm.
they're doing like some ridiculous payment plan, like it's 20
Yeah.
payments of $150. And yeah, it's like, okay, is that really a high ticket sale? Kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like we try to get all of our clients. So first of all, we don't work with anybody unless they really have something transformational. But
Of
if they
course.
do have
Yeah.
something transformational, they should be selling it for at least 5K. Like
Hmm.
what's a life-changing program that's not worth 5K? So I would say that's the minimum for most of the people
Yeah.
that we work with.
Yeah.
And then that would go up to anywhere like 15K, 18K. There's a guy in my mastermind right now who has an investment program. Their front end offers 38,000. And
Okay.
then when it comes to back end offers, you're looking at anywhere from 20K to 200K probably, if
Yeah.
not more.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
That makes sense. All
that's
right.
high ticket.
That's perfect. All right. Well, before we talk about the resource that you're going to share, is
Yeah.
anything final words?
No,
No.
that's it, guys. I mean, you don't have to mess around with low ticket stuff. You don't have to mess around with launches. Affiliates are great if you can get people to promote your
Well, that's
stuff.
the
But I
thing. If
just,
you can get them to do it, that's
if
the,
you can get them to do it, and if
yeah.
they don't expect you to turn around and then promote whatever bullshit program they're coming out with next. Um, yeah, for me, it was like, look, I wanted to have a business that was as much as it's possible completely under my control, where I could
Right.
spend $1 on Facebook and make
Yep.
$5 or $10 back consistently, work with the people that I want to work with, and then serve those people in a leveraged way. And I think that if you want that in your business, the high ticket model is really the best and only way to go.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. You're inspiring me to like delve into the ad scene now because once we get things dialed in, it makes sense because you just it's numbers at that point, right? You know your conversions, you know your ad spend, you know how it's all going to come together, and so you just keep increasing your ad spend to get the results you want.
Exactly. I mean, and at the end of the day, your marketing spend should probably be somewhere around 20% of your P&L. And L.
Yeah,
And if it's not, you're not spending enough.
yeah,
Let's say you're like, "Oh yeah, I'm spending $100,000 a month on Facebook and I'm making $1 million a month back." You're actually leaving money on the table by not
correct.
spending $200 or $300,000 a month, even if your margins go down slightly.
Yeah,
I would rather have a business where I'm spending $200,000 a month on Facebook ads and making 1.8 million
yeah.
than one where I'm spending 100,000 and making 1 million.
If your business is set up that it's scalable, that's the big key, right? Because you don't
That's
want
the
to keep
that's
getting
right.
more clients that is going to create more work, right? You want to have more clients without more work.
So, and that's the thing with our clients is that we really have to fix every piece of the business
Yes.
at the same time.
Yeah.
So, you can join masterminds that are like, okay, we're going to show you how to do Facebook ads, or join a mastermind where they're like, we're going to show you how to do YouTube ads. But that's only one piece of it, is just the
Mhm.
traffic piece. You still have the marketing, you still have the funnel, you still have the sales, and then you
Yeah.
still have the operations and the
Operations.
delivery.
Yeah.
So if people are going to work with someone, they have to make sure that whatever mastermind they're in covers all the bases. And then honestly, the thing that people never talk about in most masterminds is you. How are you showing up? Do you have limiting beliefs? Do you have things that are holding you back?
Yeah.
So one of the things, Christy, that we found with our clients in our highest level mastermind is we call it the $100,000 a month freakout, where
Okay. I
people
love
have
that.
their yeah, people have their first. So, like, look, if my objective as a coach is to get somebody to whatever it is, 100K a month, 50K a month, whatever that
Yeah.
thing is, right? I'm saying to myself, hey, oh great, I got so and so to 100K for that. They made 100K this month. Oh, I'm home free. I did my job. What we found is that those people freak out a lot
Yeah.
of the time because maybe no one in their family ever has made more than 70 or 80K in an entire year,
Year. Yeah.
right? So there's
So
all
true.
these like limiting beliefs that come up, and the sabotage and the negative money stuff and whatever. And it's like, okay, great, we got to be there to sort that out. So you're right. The delivery piece, it can be tricky because you have to be able to meet the needs of your clients in a scalable way.
Yes.
But one thing I always tell our clients, and this is something that maybe will help some of the people that are listening, is that it is not your job to change people's lives. It is
Mm.
your job to build a machine
That
that changes
they,
people's lives,
yes. I
right?
love
Is that
that.
way you can do it at scale and you can do it to a lot of different people.
That's good. Build the machine that, because then it kind of takes the pressure off you. Because sometimes as coaches, we get so wrapped up in the success and failures of our clients that sometimes the little blips that they have we take personally, right? But if it's the
Eh,
machine and other people are doing it, it kind of takes that stress off us.
Well, we see a lot with our clients that there's this ego trap of like, oh no, no, no. Like, and I fell into this myself, right? So one of the things we do with our clients is we help them put together their webinars, their master classes, whatever, and we
Mhm.
rewrite it with them, we polish it with them, we rework it with them and all that stuff. And I thought to myself back in the day, like, no, 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 no. I'm the only person that can rework someone's webinar. It's got to
Yeah.
be me. It can't be anyone else. And that limited the growth of the business. And then I went out there and I hired a couple of the best copywriters I could find and I trained them. And now they freaking do it better than I do.
Better than you.
Like,
Well,
and
and we
but
have to
now
get
we have
out of our
something we
own
can
way,
scale.
right?
Exactly. Yeah. And it can be one of the ways that your ego manifests is to say, no,
Mm.
no, 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 no. I am, whatever. I'm the guru. I am the webinar ninja or whatever, and no one can do it but me. And that's just another form of self-sabotage because you're limiting the amount of good that you can do in the world.
Yeah. And you're not letting other people shine where they're good at, right? Because your
Exactly.
copywriters now that's their genius zone. And so you're elevating them and allowing them to tap into what they were created to do.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And then you're creating this situation where you're allowing other people to give their gifts to the world, where maybe they're not the kind of person that wanted to start their own business, but they can come in within this container that you've
Yeah.
created, and that's where they can thrive.
Yeah.
And those are the best people, the people that don't necessarily want to deal with all the headache and all the hassle of
Mhm.
running a whole company, but they have amazing talent and amazing gifts to give the world,
Yeah.
and they can sort of do it under your umbrella,
Yeah.
where you're the one out there taking the risk on the ad spend and worrying about refunds and whatever else might come up. And they don't have to worry about any of that stuff. They can just show up and do their job. So
Yeah, they're part of a great team, right? Without all the stress that's included as the owner.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
All right. Well, you're going to share the Clients on Demand Training Vault, which is super generous of you. I thank you. Can you kind of let the audience know what that is, what that contains?
So basically, what we did is when you guys click on that link and you
Mhm.
go there, it's going to be a little overwhelming because literally it's just a ton of like different training and
Yeah.
videos. But
Yeah.
basically, what we did, man, is we've got a lot of really fantastic content that we've put together over the years. And we sort of just handpicked what are the best trainings that we've ever done, or at least some of them,
Yeah.
and put them all on one page so you can just binge and binge and
Nice.
binge. And there's so much in there that will shave years off of your journey if you want to begin doing high ticket coaching. There's trainings in there about how to develop your high ticket offer, what your funnel needs to look like, all kinds of stuff. It's all free. It's all there for you.
Mhm.
And if you want our help to implement, we're here for you. But
Perfect.
right there in the vault is a ton of stuff.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you, Russ, for being on the show today. And of course, audience, thank you for being here. If you want to connect with Russ, we'll make sure all of his contact information are in the show notes below, as well as a link to our gift vault. Well, you'll have access to Russ's Client on Demand vault, as well as a bunch of other resources from all of our past guests. So thanks everybody for being on the show. Go to whatever platform you listen and show us some love. And most importantly, thank you, Russ.
You got it.